Hey, what's going on, people? Sorry I've been away. Just Christmas parties, life once again. I tried to stick to the schedule. I'm really, really trying. I was doing so well as well. But yeah, Game Awards tonight. It's going to be on really late here in the UK. So it's like 1:30 in the morning. So I'm going to miss it. If there's anything good news that I feel like talking about, then I'll bring it up. In a video. But you know what? Today I just feel like a rant, I don't feel like I've had a good rant in a while, but so yeah, that's it's rant time, so stick with me and I'll try and make it as quick as possible, so I'm not sure about anyone else, but I'm getting pretty tired, of all the re-releases, remakes, call for remakes and re-releases, etc. of older games that push the narrative that they are in fact required to gauge market interest in an older IP, or help re-establish that IP with the possibility, with the possible potential of a new game, coming along if these re-releases sell well. That's what you hear. The games industry is very young, as we know. So this new narrative is also very young and new, but I find it frustrating as hell, and it comes from both the developers and the gamers. I've personally never understood this, and it's certainly something I don't understand even more when gamers use this narrative themselves. As an example, you see many people begging for the port of the Metroid Prime trilogy for the Nintendo Switch, convinced that Metroid Prime 4 needs this trilogy in order to stand a better chance of selling and filling in the gaps of knowledge that people who have never played the Prime series don't have. And the funny thing is, anyone who has actually played the Prime trilogy will know for the fact that although the story continues along somewhat between games, each game unto itself is its own adventure with its own story, and you could start on any one and not feel out of the loop, but hey, I don't even want to go there, but the reason why this irks me though is the same reason why the commercial failure of the Wii U irks me. irks. The Metroid Prime trilogy, essentially spanned 3 Nintendo console generations, back to back. It started on the Nintendo GameCube, then concluded on the Nintendo Wii, which also saw the release of all 3 games in a bundle, the Metroid Prime trilogy. Then was re-released again on the Wii U eShop for anyone who wanted to own a digital version of this game, and it was cheap. It was like £17.99 or something, about $22 if you're in the US or whatever. So, whose fault is it that the Prime trilogy got ignored for the most part for what we class as the commercial masses? The gamers. That's whose fault it is. This is where the rant comes in. What stopped them from playing Metroid Prime? Gamers who preferred to solely own a console that had a DVD player attached to it, a DVD player that essentially had absolutely nothing to do with gaming. Everyone bought the PlayStation 2. Then the same gamers who scoffed at motion controls as they were, instead gripped by HD graphics and Blu-ray players, on their expensive now multimedia consoles. And then later on, scoffing at a HD console. I'm talking about the Wii U. That tried something new and offered more system features than their now beloved Nintendo Switch consoles. And now that they, for the most part, ignored 3 generations of Nintendo consoles from this company and have finally found one they like, they scream to the rafters to be filled in and brought up to speed on everything that they missed, with quotations, everything that they initially ignored or even laughed at. The Wind Waker, being another example of port begging, because it was skipped on the Wii. People skipped it on the Wii U, on the GameCube, sorry. The Wii, thanks to backwards compatibility with the GameCube, people didn't bother rebuying it and playing it on their Wiis, and the Wii U, also in part, because that got the HD update. These lusts for re-establishing IPs or bringing back missed games is wanted more than a new entry, wanted more than a brand new game, which I find just utterly and completely bonkers. Even Terminator Juice, a fellow YouTuber and host of the Juices Loose podcast, which I also appeared on, has done polls on Twitter, seeing if people would prefer a brand new Metroid game or the remake of, say, Super Metroid, which has also been rumoured, and I use the word rumoured lightly, it's reported in gaming has turned into, just an utter shambles. But people have actually voted for a remake of Super Metroid over a brand new game. Now I understand the love for Super Metroid and older games. I really do. Of course I've played them. I would love remakes. But man, when we beg for them over brand new entries in a franchise, what are we doing? And it's not just a Switch, but other older IPs and platforms as well. Where this narrative has continued and evolved into much of the software that we have today. Those old Sony kids who grew up, playing their beloved Crash Bandicoot on a PlayStation 1, then dropped him as soon as the PlayStation 2 hit the scene, leaving that nostalgia back in 1999, which I think was the last time Crash Bandicoot 3 was, Crash Bandicoot 3 came out in 99, I think. Even though, on following consoles, those series continued, with the same level of quality as the other Crash Bandicoot games, and those fans, fell in love with that quality, those types of games, and we could, at times declare that Crash Bandicoot, was better than Super Mario. Then the world never forgot Crash Bandicoot. They never forgot Crash Bandicoot. But in order for him to return to the spotlight, we were given the old games again with a lick of fresh paint. People cheering with joy that Crash Bandicoot had returned. Much like Spyro, even though once again they were, essentially, they went nowhere. But were ignored by the very players who supposedly loved those IPs across multiple generations. Would it not have been possible for Crash Bandicoot and Spyro to return with a modern 3D adventure and still grab people's attention? Of course it would. Of course it would have. And we would have seen it happen a million times. Well, we've seen it happen a million times and prove successful. You just think of games like Kid Icarus Uprising. How many people play Kid Icarus on the NES? Bring him back onto the 3DS in full glory. Everyone's loving it. Hey, Kid Icarus. Yeah, this is awesome. Street Fighter 4. We had Street Fighter 3 back on the Dreamcast. That's when Street Fighter 3 came out. And now Street Fighter 4 came roaring back, and everyone's like, oh man, I miss Blanca. Oh man, I miss Chun-Li. I miss all these guys. Rayman Legends. Rayman made a comeback. Tomb Raider. Deus Ex. New Super Mario Bros. The 2D type Mario Bros. Games. Prince of Persia. I figured the game's off edge. Killer Instinct. Pac-Man. Pac-Man made a good comeback. The list goes on. This has nothing to do with us as gamers not wanting re-releases or remakes of our classic games. We, for the most part, all love that stuff when it's done right. Or the original simply made more easily available. But when we start feeling that our beloved IPs can't continue, unless we keep on dipping into the past, because maybe these IPs have been gone for a while, some people are out of touch, then we ourselves will continue to make this industry stale and unimaginative. It's the same people asking for ports of Wii U games over newer releases. Give us the wonderful 101. Don't let it die on the Wii U. Give us Tokyo Mirage Sessions. No one wants to play it on the trash Wii U. Give us Pikmin 3. Even though the gamepad and the Wiimotes made that game what it was, what it is. Give us Zombie U. It should have never been a Wii U exclusive. And they're like, okay, here we go. Use your zombie game on your PlayStation 4, your Zombie U port. And everyone's just like, man, no one wants this trash. Because who bought it on the PlayStation 4? No one. Give us No More Heroes. It shouldn't belong on the Wii. Okay, here we go. And then it gets ported, to other consoles. Actually, I changed my mind. This is what happens. Give us Mario Maker 1 port. Don't give us a sequel instead. And then we get a sequel, and it's like, okay, yeah, sequel's better, thanks. I want the wonderful 102. I want Tokyo Mirage Sessions 2. Thankfully we got, Mario Maker 2. And guess what? Everyone was happy with the sequel. And no one is asking for the port to the original now. No one wants that because, hey, sequel's better, right? More of the same, plus extra. I want Pikmin 4. And not Pikmin 3, as glorious as that game is. And I say instead of was, because Pikmin 3 still gets actively played in my house. And Bingo Battle is one of the best multiplayer experiences ever. Right now I'm actually recording this upstairs, hiding away from my family. They're downstairs making loads of noise. I won't be surprised if you'll be able to hear them in the background at some points. But they're playing Pikmin 3 now. So what would the excuses be now? Metroid Prime 4, didn't sell well. Because we never got the Prime trilogy, and wasn't sure what Metroid Prime was. I guess people, hadn't heard, Street Fighter before then, because Street Fighter 3, like I said, released in the late 90s. I guess they shouldn't have, made Streets of Rage 4, because the last game came out on a Sega Mega Drive, and no one knows those characters now, so HD re-releases to the older games, would have been much better. I guess some people will argue that having a number 4, possibly in the title, will make things, harder. That didn't seem to affect, games like Diablo 3 and StarCraft 2. Two series whose previous entries, both came out, like 98 in the year 2000, and were, for the most part on PC. Did you see people screaming, I don't know the story. Quick, give us HD re-releases, to ensure that the new games sell, and everyone is up to speed. The 4, doesn't even have to relate to the continuation of a story. Much like, Grand Theft Auto. It's simply the, when you think of like Grand Theft Auto, San Andreas or, Vice City, Vice City is simply, technically the 4th, entry in a series of games, for those who are clued in. Nintendo stated long ago, that they were looking to support both the Prime style of Metroid game and the old 2D style, traditional, style of Metroid. So for many, Metroid Prime simply means the first-person adventure style of a Metroid game. It honestly makes me wonder what people think when they see something like Final Fantasy 15, and they are new to the series. Wait, do I need to play the first 14 games to understand what's going on? Square, HD remasters of every freaking Final Fantasy game before you make Final Fantasy 16, please. Thanks. I know the series isn't as popular as it once was, so getting people aware of the series again, since I haven't played, one since the PlayStation 1 would be great. Thanks, Square. That's the last time I played Final Fantasy on the PlayStation 1. Remember Final Fantasy 7, everyone? Sarcasm aside, no. Re-releases of older titles are not essential or needed to get people interested in a series that has been either gone for a while or people are unfamiliar with it. The advertising for the new long-awaited entry in a series would essentially be no different to the advertising of a brand new IP. If someone tried to push a brand new IP onto the market, what's the difference? No one's ever heard of that game before. You got to push it. You got to advertise it. If you're into gaming, you will know about it. If you're not, if you're what's classed as a newcomer or casual player, then it's no different than the new people who recently bought Luigi's Mansion 3, many of which had never played a Luigi's Mansion game at all or even possibly heard of it. I know Nintendo players, long-running Nintendo fans who haven't played Luigi's Mansion. That's fine, but you don't see them begging for early releases of the older games just so they can get up to speed with Luigi's Mansion 3. What's Metroid Prime 4's enemy in terms of sales? It's not the possible re-release at the end of a console generation. As many games have sold extremely well at the end of a generation. Look no further than The Last of Us on the PlayStation 3 as a recent example. Metroid Prime 4's enemy are the gamers. As it's seemingly always been with the series. But hey. The Switch is classed as a different beast, right? The one console that Nintendo has finally gotten so right that everyone can say Nintendo's name now, without feeling, embarrassed. And, oh man, I'm done. Rant over.
Let off some steam, Bennett.